Hi there and welcome to Transcona Trailer Sales. Today I'm going to be walking you through your 2024 Wildwood 40 RLB-8. We are just going to start off at the back of the unit. If you notice right at the back, you're going to see your cable satellite right here. Along the left side of the unit. If you notice, you do have your twist lock 50 amp plug end. You just line up this silver strip with that guy there. These two silver notches will line up with their holes. Give that a push in and twist it to lock it into place. And then you got that threaded collar to really lock it down. If you follow that cord back, you do have your standard 50 amp plug end. Some campsites don't have 50 amp service, they only have 30 amp service, so we do include this 30 amp adapter. Just keep in mind when you're going down to 30 amps of power, it's a lot less power and you're not going to be able to run anything. Like, you won't be able to run both air conditioners at once, you'll only be able to run one air conditioner. And then from there, we do also include a 15 amp park adapter. Just keep it in mind when you go down to 15 amps of power, really it's only going to be running your fridge and your lights, no air conditioning or anything like that. In this corner, as well as all four corners of the unit, you have stabilizer jacks. The way those works is you take the tool that's inside the front compartment, hook it up to this drive nut, run it down to the ground. Once it contacts the ground, just giving it another 1/8 quarter turn just to snug it up, and it's going to take any bouncer sway that we have in the unit right now away. Taking a few steps forward, you do have your, I guess you would consider it your galley tank drain. This is going to be for those two sinks that are inside the main living space. You're just going to take this, unthread it. Your sewer hose will have these same connections. They just line up with those guys there, twist it into place. You're always going to want to empty your galley tank last, and you're always going to want to empty your black tank first, which I'm going to show you in a second. And if you just look up, you're going to notice you do have your range hood vent right there. You're just going to want to make sure that guy's undone like it is now. That way that range hood can push out those fumes. And whenever you're traveling, just locking it back into place. That way you're not getting any excess dust inside the unit. You got your fresh water connection and your city water connection. If you're out of sight with service, you can thread a garden hose in here, turn it on. No need to run your water pump. It's going to pressurize all your lines. And then right beside it is just your fresh water connection. Just undoing that cap, putting that garden hose in there and turning it on is going to fill your fresh tank. That's what your water pump draws off of. And then right down below here, you got another gray tank here and another gray tank there. The gray tank on this side is going to be for your sinks and your showers, as well as this one. You're going to empty those last, and then you got your black tank, which you're always going to want to empty first. That's going to be your dirtiest water filled from your toilets. You got your two low point drains right up here. If you're leaving the unit for a while, you can crack these guys open, and that's just going to drain any fluid that's inside the lines out. And then you have your fresh water tank drain right there. Just pulling this guy, empties your fresh tank. You got your main power switch for your water heater just located under this cover. Just opening that guy up. For winterization, you're not going to want to bypass this at all. You're just going to leave it on. Tank's currently on. You got your black tank flush right here. So while your tank is connected and the valve is open, very important that the tank is connected and open, because if you run this black tank flush with it closed, you run the risk of bursting your tank. Thread a garden hose on here, turn it on, it's just going to flush that tank out, keeping things that little bit cleaner. You got your furnace vent right here. Whenever the furnace is running, it's going to be blowing out hot air. You're going to notice this one lone drain over here, taking this cap and twisting it off. You are pre-plumbed and wired for washer-dryer combo. If you're wanting to get set up with that, you can contact the parts department if you were to go with that. Whenever you're using that washer-dryer, you have to make sure that this cap is open. That way it allows the washer to drain its fluid. If you're leaving this cap on, it will backflow into the unit, so just being mindful of that. You got your exterior shower, which just opens up with your 751 key, which you should have on your keychain when you get the unit. Sticking that key in there and unlocking it will give you access to that hot, cold water with that swivel shower head. In this front compartment here is just some storage space. Open this guy up. You're going to notice right up top here, that is for your VersaTilt bed. Just being mindful of that. You're not going to want to block it or damage it in any way. You got your standard starting kit, as well as that tool for those stabilizer jacks. Underneath this propane tank, which does easily remove just by pulling up, you can loosen off these tabs flip this cover over. It gives you access to that regulator selector valve with the regulator pointed the way it is. It's running off this tank. To open that up, you're just opening up that valve. That opens up the flow of propane to the unit. And if this tank were to run dry, you can close this tank, turn this over to this side and run off this tank. And then right behind this propane tank cover is just where we're gonna house your battery. Your speakers, which do have blue illuminating lights. I'll show you those once we get inside. You got GFI protected outlets on the outside, as well as a coax outlet in case you're wanting to bring that TV outside. And then just further towards the back, you got that last stabilizer jack to get inside. Opening up that door, then you can pull down on your stairs, allowing those stairs to unfold like so. Inside. Going to take you to the main living space right off the bat. That we can show you your monitor panel system. Right here, you're going to notice you do have your outside speaker lights, which are just activated with that switch there. Then you have another light switch that does a porch light outside this patio door. And then you have your ceiling light switch, turning that on. Supplies power to the dimmer. Hitting that dimmer once just turns the lights on to wherever you had them last set. And because it's a dimmer, if you push and hold it, the lights will go from bright to dim. And wherever you let off is where they're going to stay. Got your slide out button. Hitting down on that button allows those slide outs to start making their way out. Always be mindful whenever you're running your slide outs in or out that they have room and they're not going to collide with anything. Once those slide outs are fully extended, you're going to hear the motors wind up, and that's when you can let off. So you heard those motors wind up, and that's when you let off the switch. Turning this button on just turns on that overhead fan right up in the living space there. Then you got this light switch, which does turn on the rest of the interior lights towards the hallway there. And then you got your thermostat. You do have two thermostats in this unit. This is going to be the main thermostat controlling your rear AC as well as your furnace. Hitting that button once just illuminates it. Hit it again and you can switch between your different modes, which is cool, off, and heat, or you can do cool plus heat, which is going to activate either or depending on what you have your thermostat set at. And then you can turn your fan on as well, which is just going to move air with that air conditioner, no heating or cooling involved. And at any point in time, just turning this dial whenever you're on cool or heat will adjust the temperature. You got your awning button right here. Hitting that button extend, that awning's going to start making its way out. You're going to know that awning's fully extended when you see the back of the metal tube and the little flap hang down. Just keep it in mind whenever you are running that awning, you wanting to make sure that you're not going to be binding on this door here, so you always have to make sure you have this door like so. That way you're not rubbing against it. Hitting that button extend allows that awning to make its way out. Once fully extended, you're going to see the back of the metal tube with the flap hang down. Sometimes the flap can get stuck, but you just have to retract it a little bit and put it back out, and it should come down. Once you get to about 5 to 10 kilometer an hour range, let us know. I make sure you head off. Bending your arms. When we start raining, you can take any arm, front or rear, pull down on them, and it's going to change the pitch of the awning head, allowing water to then run off. Now, if you like that pitch better, you could do the same thing with both arms, and it's going to allow for more shade underneath. Just always making sure you push them back straight before you bring them in. To bring them in, you're just pushing that retract button, and it's going to start making its way in. Those arms, once they contact the side of the trailer, you can let off the button. I'm just going to take you into the bedroom area. If you notice on the wall here, you do have a couple switches. That one turns on the interior lights inside here, and the other one does do a little porch light, a little orange porch light outside the door. You do have your antenna switch right on the wall here, hitting that back button, turning that green light on, turns the antenna on in the roof, which also improves radio frequency. So I do recommend just leaving it on if you're wanting to run that radio. Then you got your versatile bed control, pushing that button up, allows that versatile bed to go up. Pushing that button down will allow that versatile bed to make its way down. Just whenever you do bring in this slide out, you do have to make sure the versatile bed is all the way up, so that way you can clear this dresser. All the blinds in the unit do work the same way. Pulling it once to allow it to retract. And then if you pull it down, wherever you stop is where it's going to stay. And then again, once just to retract. You got some nice storage space right up front here. And you do have your breaker panel and fuse panel right down below here. Whenever a breaker trips, it's going to sit in the middle. So you do just have to turn it off and then back on again to reset it. And whenever you have a fuse blow, there'll be a little red indicator light telling you which one's blown. On this side of the bed, you open up this closet. You notice you are pre-plumbed for that washer dryer combo. The water just being on the other side of this wall, which you have that access panel for. You got your central vac tools right there. If you open up this cupboard here, you're gonna notice you do have those two water lines just for the washer dryer right there. This is going to be for your front AC, and this is only going to control the front AC. It's not going to control the furnace. You get your central vac right on the ground here. Turning that on, turns it on. You do have a little, they call it a dust panless system. Gathering all your dirt and sand in front of this, turning it on, it's going to suck it up. Just making sure you're not putting anything too sharp or big in there, as it does go into just a regular vacuum bag. And then just sliding this guy up will allow you to plug into that. Inside this door here is just going to be your bathroom. Opening that up, you got your sink with hot and cold water, your main GFI plug on the wall here. You got test on the bottom, reset up top. And then if you open up this, you get access to some storage space, just being mindful of those water lines. Light switch just on the wall here. And then if you notice on this wall, you do get your vent controls. Turning that fan on will allow you to open up that vent. Now, if it were to start raining, you do have to make sure you close that vent, otherwise it will get wet in here, or you can install max air covers, which are a great investment. Parts can get you a quote to get set up with those. You got your shower with hot and cold water. Some more cupboard space. Then just stepping into the main living space, if you notice down on the left there, you do have your fire extinguisher. It's going to be just like home. Pull the pin and shoot. You got your patio door set. Inside this cupboard here is just some storage space, as well as a nice little garbage they include. Light switch on the wall. Down here, you're going to notice you got an LP detector. Both the stove and the furnace run off propane. If that guy starts going off, you just got to close off the main supply of propane at the front of the unit and open up some windows just to ventilate it out. You do have a little mini bar fridge, as well as a nice little mini sink. And then if you open up this cupboard right behind this false panel, which is held in with 2 screws, you get access to your water pump for winterization. Taking a step into the living space, you have some more light switches here, and those just turn on some different accent lights around the unit, as well as these 2 hanging pendant lights. If you're just taking note of the way it's set up right now, you got your travel straps locked in. That way, whenever you move in the unit, none of your chairs are swinging around, causing damage. You got your light switch on the wall here for your 2 lights inside your slide out above your dinette and your couch. You do have a pull-out bed here. You're just pulling on the bottom of the couch, and it'll allow that bed to pop out. You do have to make sure you take those top cushions off. Taking those legs, folding it out will allow it to drop down into place. And then once you remove those cushions, you would be able to fold down that backer and make a bed. And then to get it back into place, you are just grabbing the foot of the couch and just folding it up. Fold those legs in like so. And it should just pop right back into place, and then you can put your cushions back. This window here is an emergency exit, so just being mindful of that. You're just taking this latch, pulling and sliding, and then you can slide your screen out of the way and hop on out. And then to close it, just like so. Then you got your main entertainment center. You got your sound bar. Zone 1 is going to be your interior sound bar, and zone 2 is going to be those exterior speakers I showed you earlier. And then you got just down below here your fireplace, power button on the far right. The button beside that does your different flame colors, and then you got your different rock colors to the left of that. And then one more time left, you get into your different heat modes. You got low, and then you got high, and then you got a timer which goes anywhere from 30 minutes to 9 hours. Power button on the right just to turn it off again. And then we got your fridge. Take a note of this right here. This is just going to be that travel latch. That way that fridge doesn't go opening whenever you're moving. Just turning that counterclockwise allows that to unscrew itself. And then you can open up your residential style fridge, which is 120. You got your controls for your freezer right up top. And then right down below, you do have your different controls for your fridge as well. Always making sure you put that travel lock in whenever you're moving this thing around, once again. Then into the main kitchen area. You got your sink with hot and cold water, some storage down below, just again being mindful of those water lines. You got your convection oven up top, which does have your built-in range hood as well as that light. And then right down below, you got your stove and your oven. To get those to light, you're just turning those knobs over to the pilot option, the high option, and hitting that sparker, and eventually they do fire right on up. It just sometimes takes a few minutes to get all the air cleared out of the lines. Once all the air is cleared out of the lines, it does eventually fire right on up. And there you go. And then to get the oven to light, it's kind of the same process, just sometimes it can take a little bit longer to get all the air out of the propane lines. Turning that over to the pilot, pushing it in. Sometimes turning that light on just helps you see, which is just on the right there. Hitting that sparker, just giving it, sometimes it can take a few minutes just to purge all the air out of the lines. And there you go, you get that pilot, just holding it in another second so it can hold its own, and then you can turn it up to your desired temperature and it fires right on up. And then some more storage space over there. That's going to be it for this unit here. If you have any other questions, feel free to give us a call.